Well, hello everyone, and welcome back. I know it's been a while. I know Friday was usually for pay it forward stream, but I had family stuff, so that's all right. And of course, as a further notice, 4th of July weekend, starting from what is it, 4th to that weekend, won't be here either. So just getting that out of the way before people's like, but we don't know what it's. I'm telling you right now. Anyway, hello everyone, and welcome to know. My name is Daramouthe, or Dara for short, because I know some people have trouble saying the name correctly. Some say Daramouthe. I'm just like, what are you, full of cotton balls? Seriously? Come on. Gosh. I, I have to put it. I have to do like the whole how you pronounce it thing, like during when someone says like Daramouthe, Daramouthe, and like, oh, okay, so that's how you do it. I was like, oh goodness, silent E. Where have you never worked? But anyway, welcome back, good sir. It's been a hot minute. Well, it's actually been longer than a hot minute because I don't know what they mean by a hot. Is it when they say a hot minute? Does it mean like it's an actual minute, or it's been like just a
I
thing?
don't
Like,
I
oh,
don't think it's a described method of timekeeping. It's like right there as in like trying to use like the standard of 12 units to describe any unit of measure. We don't really understand it. We just know it's provocative. Um but yeah, I lost all my hair since last we spoke.
oh, that's true. But your beard's still there, so it's not really much of a loss, is it?
Oh no. And for everyone who doesn't know me, my name is like Daramouthe is I'm I'm Padriag
Show's over.
Quintilius
Show's over.
Marcanius,
We're all done here.
or you can call me Paddy if you're into the whole brevity thing.
Well, your funny thing is your at on Twitter X is Patio Cakes. I'm like, oh, that dirty Irishman. He's like,
Dirty, I'm sweet. I
sweet.
melt in the rain. I
You
disappear.
melt in the rain. Oh goodness, I can just see it. You're like flash dance now. You just have the water come on you and just falling, just melting down.
I just I've got the bucket to go. Like the ripcord is right over here. You can't
Oh
see it.
no
So
no.
if this gets too hot, I'm ready to cool down. You have no idea.
Oh yes, this week is going to be horrendous. I I was outside. Well, I went after when the sun went down a bit, not when it was full. When it's full blast, the humidity it will just eat you up. And I was like, oh, this is not going to be a good week because they say it's going to be throughout the whole week where I'm
Oh
at,
yeah.
and I'm just going to be like, oh, come on.
How hot was it?
It got to 90-ish, I think, a little early 90s, early 90s. So, and it's just like, oh, please, because it's happened before. In the Midwest, there was a huge, like years and years ago, there was like huge high pressure cooker dome over the area, and it would just be high humidity, high heat, and it lasted for at least a week. And it was just like, dear Lord, please, please let this end soon. And it seems like this is going to be the same case. I'm like, ugh.
Yeah, that humidity kills it. I was looking at some headlines. Me and a couple of buddies were laughing at jolly old Britain's expense because I think it was like all of 78 degrees and like, oh, oi, chaps, we're melting in the streets. So ice cream cones are falling to the ground.
Hey, oi, 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 hey, you might want to calm it down there a bit, all right? Want to calm it down there a bit? No, but because I don't know the conversion, so I was like 26 Celsius. What does that even mean?
Yeah, I think it's like
Um,
78 degrees. Like that's a great day.
well, that's what other people kept saying, but it's like, well, you have to understand one, their system is not set up for AC. They have no system. Electrical system is not set up for AC. Their houses, as I've talked to other English people, is their houses were built to in order to store heat because they're in a more colder climate, right? Like, the stories it rains most of the time and all this stuff. So like, it getting a bit warmer for them, it's getting to our temp is hot to them because they've never been to that point before, and I think it kind of goes without saying that yeah they're in a part of the world where I mean of course Spain is like right above them, so it's like you have Spain right above you, but I digress. It is just it's silliness. Some of the people from the UK that I've seen talk about have been like this is barely anything. um, and yeah, it's just one of those things where it's like I think this is more of a news thing. We're just like it's so hot here, please, dear Lord. Oh, Miss Beverly, it's too hot, too hot.
Somewhere Greta Thunberg is like reclining and sipping wine and being like, "I told you, how dare you?"
How dare you? I don't have that clip. Because I can put it in the media studio, and play it as like a small like video clip, but I just don't know where to get that without getting like whatever. But yeah, that's been like the most overplayed clip.
Oh yeah, it's a classic. That's wonderful. But yeah, you think like we're in the modern age, and I'll tell you what, the American Revolution was fought for AC, brother. Like
That's
we we
everything
keep
else.
it cool.
Everything else was a lie. We didn't fight for taxes. We just fought for AC because god dang it was hot.
Hot damn. No, one of my Dutch friends was telling me, he's like, yeah, really wasn't that bad. And he's like, yeah, was our building built to retain heat? Of course it was, and that's how I save money in the winter, because I live on the top floor, and basically everyone's heat around me, since I'm in the middle of the building, heats my apartment. And I'm like,
Yeah.
well, that sounds very eco-friendly of you to be recycling their heat, doing his part.
Yes, come to me. I shall feed on your heat and your anger.
I can last all winter like this, seething.
See, you just have to realize, like every once a week, we have to get angry at each other. Like, okay, here we go again. We got to generate enough heat to, it'd be really funny is if they could generate their own electricity, like during the winter, they just get on one of those like dynamo bikes and they just pedal to get the powered up, whatever. It's like, yeah, we rely on our own heat and all this stuff. And I'm like, well, at least you get a good workout in, Go
when
faster.
we're cold at work, like, if you recall, I'm an electrician, and every
Yeah.
time one of the new guys says, it's cold, man, I gotta go back in the van and warm up, I says, heat's in those tools, boy. You find heat in them tools, start swinging a hammer, you'll warm up quite fast.
It sounds like something Hank Hill would say. God dang, Bobby, get your tools. It'll heat you right up.
Yeah, do a quick shot of WD-40, and you'll be all right.
Hey, geek, new play practice. Not gonna turn it up, muck. I don't know what that means. What does that mean? Hey, new play practice. Not gonna turn it up, muck. I don't know what that means, geek. I don't know what that means. I feel like a small child. Like you have to explain it to me like I'm 5. How do you?
It's
What
probably,
this is?
I think, okay, maybe he's at his kid's practice and he can't
Oh,
turn up the volume
oh,
because if Paddy gets caught saying some of the things out loud in the general public,
oh yeah,
then
yeah.
he might end up on a list.
Oh, so yeah, this is like from one dad to I needed the dad translator. You just right there. It's sort of it should be a new sketch thing. We have somebody like someone speaks in Dadanese, and it's like, look, hold on. I'll relay the information to you like a dad joke, right? You're trying to decode a dad. Oh, much. Turn it up much. Yeah, muck was like, what does that mean, muck? It sounds like you're in the swamp over there. Um, but that'd just be a nice thing where you just have a dad come in. Look, I can translate this for you guys. All right, just what he really means is,
It's like airplane. It's like, oh, I speak jive.
oh yeah, on my skin, brother.
Yeah, pull my skin, brother. Play it, don't play.
Yeah, that was funny. He's like, I can't
Yeah,
remember.
Chucky.
Yeah, and he's trying to say something like he's in pain, and she's like, I can't remember it's been a long time since I've seen that one, but that was just hilarious. Then you have the one where like in was it Austin Powers Gold Member where they're speaking in Cockney and they just have the subtitles below of what they're saying. It's just like,
Oh yeah, they're speaking Japanese, and he's like, like right before he leaves the office, is
yeah,
like,
yeah,
my wiener is huge. Day nah, and it's I wish, as he
yeah, it was,
closes the door.
yeah. But then him and Michael Caine, they do their thing and they have the whole subtitle below saying because they're doing
Oh
the whole
yeah.
Cockney thing, and I'm just like, that is interesting, right? Stout notes, yeah, no, but yeah, it's just nice when you have someone that close. It's like he's trying to translate idiot. How do you translate idiot? Well, you have another idiot right next to you.
Yes, I'm quite proficient. It's a diet. Tard is my favorite dialect of idiot, and I'm much more proficient in that. But we don't get into that. No, have you ever seen Snatch with Brad Pitt and Jason Statham? It was one of those Guy Ritchie films.
No, I haven't, but it does sound like something you
Yeah.
want to be careful of because
So,
that sounds like
um, Jason Statham plays like he's like a coach or something for boxers, and they do like underground like rigged boxing matches for the bookies and stuff.
Right.
Well, they go out, they're trying to buy a new caravan, which is supposed to be like a trailer. That's what they call trailers. They call them caravans.
Right.
And Brad Pitt plays like an Irish gypsy. And he speaks really fast.
Right.
And so there's like a part where they get out of their trucks and they like sink into the mud, and he says something like witty about, oh, like, you really kept stuck in the mud, and they're like, excuse me? And he's like, come on, we'll show you the caravan. And then he goes over up there, and there's like a bunch of dogs barking, and they're about to like walk into the caravan, and he goes, oh yeah, dags. You like dags? Dags? Oh, dogs. Yeah, I like dags. It's like, and then so every time that I mishear something because someone's talking too fast, that's like, oh, I like dags. Yeah. And some people get it. Just like every time I'm like really close to getting the name of something right, it's always Samsonite. I was way off from Dumb and Dumber.
Oh yeah.
Slappy, swimmy, swappy, Swanson. Check the briefcase. Samsonite. I was way off. It's like, geez.
Or you have like a movie where they get the bomb's gonna go to the city, and they get the city, and I was like, if I only took the time to get this right and the city is completely obliterated, I was almost there.
Oh yeah, that's right. Chicago, Illinois, not Chicago, Kentucky.
Hey,
Ultra. Thanks for joining us, brother.
Nice.
Oh, okay. So what was this thing about the questions that you?
Oh, okay. So a while back, I had this idea that kind of got from a combination thing. So the story total of it is it's called The Questions from Hat, and I'll show you the hat soon. The story is that so there was you remember James Lipton, Actor Studio, all that stuff. And so at the end, whenever he has a celebrity on, whatever that may be, whether it be movie stars or comedian, because he did have Dave Chappelle on, at the end, he would ask questions. And they're the same questions every comedian when it's asked, like this or that or whatever. And then, because Whose Line is my favorite show, there's always the scenes from Hat, right? You get people from the audience early in the show, they get to, create a scene, and they put in the good ones, and they, whatever. And my thought was like, well, my thought was, I'd really like to, because people can suggest a question. It's a question anyone can answer, that sort of thing, like what's your favorite color or whatnot. And then if they wanted to do more from the hat, because again, the guest is going to get 2 freebies. And then if chat wants more, I gotta push. Oh, where's the dirty gold, you dirty leprechaun?
I'll never tell. The secret's safe with me forever. I'm a dirty leprechaun.
I'll write that down. Where's the gold, you dirty leprechaun? No. But the thing is like if the guest would get 2 freebies, and then if the chat wanted more, they would donate a rant. And so it's sort of like a way of chat combination with getting a rant sort of thing. So it's just sort of something to try at least. And of course the hat I got, I bought a Rumble hat.
Rumble.
But yeah, there's a bunch of, those are the questions. I know it's not a lot. I still got a few to go through, but people in chat can suggest one, and I'll try to write them down. But at the end of the day, it's a combination of chat involvement or people involvement, and maybe trying to get a rant or 2 out of it. But at the end of the day, it's also just to, because I mean, maybe in the future I might do like a tame, not safe for work, but that's more of just like it's a very tame. It's not getting reached like what's the size of
all
one
right,
ball?
Daramouthe, I'll give it to you.
What's the size of one ball of the other? It's not that. Yeah, no. Dance for me, monkey. He danced.
That's oh wait, I'm not Geek. Where's Geek at? We got to put those nipples on safe.
Oh goodness. But yeah, so that was just a thought, and of course that's usually at the end when we've gotten everything out of the way and we're closing out. Because again, at James Lipton at the end of Actor Studio, and then of course combining with scenes from Hat where they just take something out of Hat. Now maybe one day I'll get a bigger hat, but I don't have enough questions right now, so it's kind of not the point. But yeah, that was just a thought, and I will see if it goes. And also, of course, next month I'm going to be trying to do a different thing where I might do multi-panel. I'm still trying to come up with the name. Like it's either something multi-chat or Dara's multi-chat, something like that. And what it is, it's basically going to be Darachat, but it's going to be more than just another person. Maybe 4 to 5 people. I want to try to keep it small because I've seen those 9 panel, 10 panel, whatever, and the conversation completely goes out the window. It's just there's no conversation there. There's just nothing. No one can. So I'm going to try to do it small and see what goes from there. But that's going to be like in July. July 13th is the day I'm going to try. So I already have one spot taken. I'm looking for like 2 or 3 more, but that's up to people if they want to. So I'll be hitting people up. Don't worry, I'll be hitting people up. I'll be like that crack addict goes around its drug dealers like, hey man, you got more of that crack?
I need some more guests, please. Yeah, I wish I knew what I was doing that far. July is like prime time for all the housing projects and gardening. Well, not maintaining gardens, not necessarily gardening right then. I mean, plant your tomatoes in February for a harvest in November. But yeah, I'll have to see what my schedule is looking like when we're getting closer. But you know, I was turned on to another channel, Wick TV, by one of my friends, Harmony Ginger.
Right.
And yeah, he's got some of those panels where it's him and like 3 other people, but I've also seen him like moderate and with, I would say, a pretty decent degree of success. But I think it's because, you know, he's been doing it for a long enough time to be able to like put his foot down and say, you're cut off because this is the Socratic method, not just I'm going to talk to one guy and have 8 people on screen listen to you.
Yeah.
So, but I think it takes practice. I don't think it's something you just conjure up.
Well, I've already had 2 different times where I've had multiple people on, and it seemingly went well. I mean, of course, you can have people who have to figure out how to find the space to jump in because I'm more of the hospitable kind of like let them finish and then we'll go from there. But you're right, there is a time where someone has to put the foot down. But for me, it's just like, you know, I've seen these bigger panels. It doesn't really work out. I mean, people like the cast, don't get me wrong. And if they're their favorite people on there, then of course they're gonna whatever. But for me, it's just like I'd rather just small, keep it contained. Let's have a conversation. And really, it's just a bigger version of Darachat. Oh, there we go. He says, which TV is a mixed bag for me. There always seems to be more lefty people arguing instead of being the same. And look, I'm not I'm not political by any means, so I really don't care. It's just about coming together, different people. You know, maybe I'll try to get like some Yanks in English on there and see what happens. We got liberated.
No, I think he specifically goes and tries to get like diametrically opposed opinions on something. And yeah, like I said, I think he manages well. But kind of like what Ultra's saying, like there's sometimes you listen to these guys and you're like, do you hear yourself talking? Or do words leave your mouth at a rate that your brain can't process? And there's no reverb.
Yeah. Well, yes, I do. And sometimes I like my voice. Not really.
That's why I have a delay on my chat.
Echo. There we go. But no, it's just to try something new. I've always thought about it, but I've been very hesitant to try it because, again, you have these multiple like 9-person or whatever, and the conversation just gets lost. So you listen like one person makes some profound statement or whatever. And this is going over people I've had on, of course, because there's really a mesh of people that maybe it does or doesn't work. But if we can just go with the disagreement factor, not going like, I'm going to come there with a hoe and kick your butt. Not that kind of hoe.
Oh, my sword isn't hanging up in the back, but I got a sword right there.
Yeah, okay? So where?
I'll get you. I gotta find out where it's at. I got my desk gun.
Yeah. Oh, it's right underneath. You just pull it right out.
That's right. I do my desk pops.
But it is on a Saturday, if that's helpful. So, but anyway, it's just something new to try, just like the questions from Matt, and we'll see how it goes. It'd just be once a month. I'm not interested. I'm just gonna keep the almost everyday thing to like the one-on-one. And then once a month, you'd have all these different people come together. And because I really do think there's a conversation that can be had with, a small amount of people without this sort of contrived backhanding, slapping around, arguing back and forth, getting nowhere. not a conversation just like I'm your right, you're wrong thing. It's just there's got to be a point where you can come to the table and say, look, I know I have a bias and you have a bias. Let's just have a conversation and see if we can't get past that, because that's the issue you have with a lot of creators is they bring on people who are alike or maybe whatever other part of it. And sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. And I'm just here to just enjoy, converse, and ultimately have fun with it. Because look, I'm going to tell you right now, it's not going to be fun when you come to the point where either you're too old to do it, right? Like some 90. I don't know if I've ever seen a 90-year-old still doing this, but we'll see. Back on this episode again. But it's going to come to the point where people have to realize, look, you don't have a lot of time here, right? You really do not have a lot of time. There's arguing factors, whatever. I mean, there's a point to argue, sure. But it's like, for every season, there's a purpose, under heaven, all that stuff. What does anger do to you for a majority of the time when you're really just not looking great on it? It's whatever. I just want to do this because why not? Why not get to the point?
I came here to argue, dang it, and I'm gonna get my money's worth. I
didn't see that 20.
I think what was the name of that Monty Python skit? But
the argument clinic. The argument clinic.
Mm-hmm. And I think it definitely serves its purpose, because there are people who, I mean, that's almost like news for them when these people come to these debates. And you're right, man. There's a lot of people who show up to debates like combative, and they're like ready to throw down. Like, what are you gonna do? Punch me through your screen? Like, how's that gonna work? Do it! Punch me through your screen. I win. I'm coming for you.
Well, and same thing. It's the same thing with these stupid Twitter arguments. Look, I've been caught up in this stuff, once before. But when you have people who troll and you're trying to have this weird conversation and it's not going anywhere, the real thing you should do is just walk away. Because here's the phone. I set it down. End of story, right? You can always mute the other person. But these people who get stuck with these arguments or debates with people, and they never it's like a dog with a bone. They never let it go. And Dude. I've been there. Don't worry, I've been there. Hey, Phoenix. But the thing of it is there has to be a point where you let go. Listen, adults, we're not kids anymore, right? I mean, if you have kids, you should know by now. The art of letting go is never easy, but you're going to have to, because you will be dead and you're going to be holding this grudge forever. So either let go or be the idiot, because I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah, and what you shouldn't do is definitely don't make parody accounts on Rumble. Oh no, I've got Fortnite tags on my Darachat.
Oh yeah, I haven't seen that one. I'm just like, I kind of understand. I will point out this way.
It's just funny though. Like,
yeah,
I mean, because if I may, there is a point for like if somebody says something off color about you and it's not that big of a deal, it's whatever. But if someone makes like an assertion about your character that is patently false, that is absurd because you could back it up with facts. By all means, I think you should defend your honor. I mean, you absolutely could. Now, how far does that go? Case in point, there was a funny little dolphin on Rumble who came up with something that we don't have to talk about it. But then somebody who wasn't attached to that thing at all decided to insert himself, and then bring suspect on me. And I was like, oh, okay, well, see, you don't know what you're talking about. And if you would have looked at everything, then you would see that what you're saying is wrong. And if anything, I'm the least suspect. And when I told him, I said, do you think you could delete the old tweet? Do you think maybe you should talk about this on your show? And he was just like, well, no, because I put it out there and it's getting really good views, and people will or they won't find the follow-up tweet that like exonerates you. And I'm just like, what the hell? that's not how this should work at all. And then the same guy went around and started just telling people how to use tags. And now, yeah.
Right.
Anyway, and I'm
Well,
just
it's the
like,
same.
damn, dude.
It's the same thing like when Twitter X started to monetize itself. You saw a lot of bait posts. You still do.
Yeah.
And it's just like the same thing with content creation. I've said this before. Is I've done this. I've did the Rumble ads. All right, I've done that. I've done this through the Rumble Studios and all that stuff. So and I talked to Panda about this too. It's like, yeah, it does kind of when you do that when you do that add that thing. And yes, it does kind of change the stream, but it's not to the extent of like that's all it's about. Like you create drama for money's sake. And I think that's the issue is in the content creation realm when you start to hit to the point of monetization, right? Like of course Rumble instant monetization, but YouTube you have to hit a certain amount. When you hit that point on YouTube for the monetization, is it still about the content you create, or are you now doing it because of the money? Because again, a majority of content creators on YouTube say they wouldn't move over to Rumble because there's more money on YouTube. I'm like,
More money.
But they do. But Google is the one grabbing your balls and saying, if you don't do what we say, you don't get money. And you're like, oh, dang it. I'm just like, I'm not monetized over there, but I'm not going to change. I'm not going to change anything about what I do because at the end of the day, why? Why does this course of whether agree or disagree or whatever change? Look, no debating, no arguing, whatever. But when we can have an open field conversation about whatever, you tend to go somewhere. It's like going on a river. You're on the inner tube going down the river. You may have a 6-pack or not. I don't know. I don't drink.
Always.
It's tied to your inner tube so it doesn't go too far away. If someone tries to take it, it's like But it's sort of like, yeah, and the thing with the tag stuff, right? Like I one part I get is because people can misuse and abuse because of getting engagement, getting followed, or whatever. Because you can use tags for whatever reason it's like with YouTube, right? Once you find out how the algorithm works, you're gonna do the things in order to get more attention, and then it's not about creation anymore. It's about money or fame or whatever. And for me, I got that part. But then the person kept going after just one person. Now, I will tell you, through my pay it forward streams, there have been a lot of 24/7 streams that are not labeled 24/7 streams.
Oh.
Where's the argument for that? Right? Where's the argument for that? Where's the no argument? So
what's the thing with the 24/7 streams? Is it just because it's like the recycled content?
Some of it's music. Some of it's like maybe someone who just puts their whole bunch of content through a loop or whatever, and it just plays continuously, or whatever. It's a muddle of things, but it's like sometimes during the project, people won't label it like it's 24/7 stream because there have been times where I've accidentally donated 24/7 stream and I didn't know it was too late. But the thing of it is, right, is that where are the people going after that? Where I don't see anybody. So after a while, it's just this one person is just harassing somebody because they just dislike them in some manner, and they use this thing as a cover for. I'm not saying I know their mind. It's just on the appearance of it looks like you're using the cover of tags in order to continually harass the person. I'm just like, you do realize you're an adult, and that just makes you look dumb. It's whatever. I don't get into the whole internet drama thing. I stepped in my toes in a few times, and it's like,
right?
There's no payout. There's no payout. I don't understand why people. The only payout you get is the attention thing, which on Twitter X, if you're monetized, there you go. But at the end of the day, what does it say about you? Are you for content creation or are you for money? Right? Because I've seen a lot of people who do the content creation, they do it full time. They're like, hey guys, don't forget the blah, blah, blah. And it's like, I got mortgage bills to pay and all stuff. Like, that's not why you should be doing this. If you're doing this for that, then you might as well go out the door and find something else. Like it doesn't make sense to me. I mean, in a way it does. But
I'd rather them be upfront and honest about it. Like I know for me, when I write my books and I paint my miniatures, and right now I'm doing like the miniature of the month where if you are a subscriber, you get all my books as a part of your subscription, but you can win this happy little guy if it wants to focus.
Focus. Sometimes you have to put your hand behind it.
Yeah, it's a cyber frog. It's a little dual pistols cyber frog that I've painted up. He's kind of cool. But at the end of the month, all of my channel subscribers, or if you did like a Rumble rant for $5 or more, you'll get put into the wheel. And I think that, that's really cool because it helps me buy paint and it helps me, buy more resin. Plus I get to do some other really cool things. Like, I get to go down to the senior center and I can bring paints and stuff, and it helps fund that type of thing. And I don't know, it's interesting. Like, people want the lol cow because it's easy to milk the lol cow, because eventually everyone's going to pick a side. I mean, I've seen it happen so many times where, like, in the comics book industry, you have Eric July and Ethan Van Sciver. These were both like conservative voices for Comicsgate, and they had a disagreement, and then like the disagreement blew up. You know what I mean? And I've had disagreements with other people in the past, and it's worked out amicably. As a matter of fact, some of these guys I'm like really good friends with. And then some guys, they can't take it when they're wrong. And Lord forbid that they ever show any sign of weakness to anybody for any reason at any time, because then their candle all of a sudden dims. And I think Whiskey Pete said that on his Twitter the other day. And for anyone that's followed me, I'm sure like a couple of weeks ago, you probably saw me like freaking out because I wasn't necessarily freaking out, but my posts, my feed was very specific. About a leprechaun and my quest to find out who this damn leprechaun is. And it was a way of just saying, that there's a guy that I blocked and I muted and I don't bring up, but we share a fan base. And every once in a while, one of my fans that are also one of his fans would send me a screenshot like, hey, what does this mean? And I'm like, I have no fucking clue what that means, because I don't talk to the guy. I'm not friends with the guy. We used to be friends. Then he stabbed me in the back. It's fine, whatever. And then he started alluding to, oh, well, this guy got me canceled off of YouTube. And I'm just like, don't start with that, because of all the culture warriors, man, I am the person that was always trying to get people to rumble. I hardly ever go on YouTube if I can help it. And I guess in the past he was saying something to the effect of like, oh, well, I'm like 90% sure. Oh, I'm 99% sure who started this cancel campaign, blah, blah, blah. And then one chat, somebody was just like, oh yeah, he definitely said, dude, just because I'm on Rumble and you're on Rumble doesn't mean anything. There's enough water in the ocean for all the fishies or whatever. And I'm like, okay, so the evidence is we share an audience, we're in the same space, and we stream on Rumble. Well, when you said that really narrowed down who the possible suspects are to like 3 different people. And I know that you're not talking about the other 2. So, he did some bullshit where it was like, oh, but the leprechaun doesn't want to show he doesn't have the nuts to say anything. And so I was just like, okay, if that's the game you want to play. And I spent a week, and so far as I've heard, he hasn't mentioned it again. And so I was like, okay, cool. Now I'm going to go back to my thing where, aside from like right now, I'm never going to mention it again because it doesn't matter to me. But the last thing that I need is for people to like, Paddy is a cancel pig and he wants to ruin people's livelihoods. I'm like, that street works both ways. I mean, I've built my brand off of being like honorable and being a loving father and a loving husband and trying to be a good influence. I never wanted to be an influencer. I wanted to be a good influence. Teach people to like really like working hard and to garden and have a loving family. And one of those things is the freedom of speech, no matter fucking what. Excuse my language. So when he was leveling those accusations, I was like, no, dude, because that's like an attack on one of my like core tenets. I'm not gonna let that just go by.
And that I can understand, but my thing is more like clarifying the situation, because again, once you step into that quicksand, you have a 50-50 shot of being able to get out again. And you must be careful when you're replying. So when someone attacks your character, in a sense, you go about it through a calm, general manner, and you simply state the facts as they are and go from there. And of course, people always attack your character no matter what. And then if it gets too much, you kind of need to reiterate in a very calm manner, because again, at the end of the day, if they can get you riled up, if they can get you emotional, right, they can get you angry, they've won. Basic, simple, predictable.
I don't know.
There are
is
exceptions. There are exceptions.
I think there is such a thing as righteous anger. You know what I mean? Like when you,
yeah,
righteous anger being when you see the thing that disgusts you being the motivation. Because it wasn't like this was a one-off thing. This was like months and months of just jabs and gutter snipes, and I didn't let it bother me. And let the gutter snipes gutter snipe. They're in the gutter. I don't care. But yeah, like I said, it's different when you share fans and then the accusations start filtering through, and you're like, what the fuck? Huh? Who?
Yeah.
But yeah, I think there is such a thing as righteous vengeance, and it's funny because back then people will say all types of shit on the internet because they have no fear of being decked in public for as much as they would like to act tough.
Mm-hmm.
And now it just seems like even in your social circles, everything is fought with psyops. You know what I mean? It's like our wars are being fought with psyops, and now it's like gaining one up on each other. It's like, it's like you said, I'd much rather just not do that. I'd much rather just block and mute and move on. And I'm never gonna forget. I think it's important to talk about these things because, as someone who's only really had an online presence for a year, maybe like a year and a couple of months, it was really like, what the hell is going on here? And figuring it's like, oh yeah, no, people will definitely stab you in the back, anonymously, just like they do in person. And that kind of sucks. It's like, I had this naive notion where it's just like, why would anyone who doesn't like really, really know me need or want to do that? What would they have to gain from that? Oh, I don't know. To serve whatever purpose, I guess.
That's why I've always been hesitant to call somebody who I've met through this process a friend, because again, this internet thing is not a very stable. I mean, you hear stories about people meeting through WoW and getting married and all that stuff, but it's very difficult to call someone a friend when, and this is in real life too, beyond the social media scope. I mean, you never truly know who somebody is. I don't think some people even know who they truly are at a certain point. But at the end of it, calling somebody a friend who you barely know, and then this whole thing comes out and it's a mess. It's a very cautionary tale to be friendly, but not throwing the friend out there just because like, oh, they're friendly, we'll have a great time, whatever. Because you already see through the social media, it's like a backstab every day. And for me, it's just like, oh, and it comes back to the two of that righteous anger, whatever. I always come back to it saying, does it do you well to be angry? Sometimes, not all the time though, because because anger has its own issues. Anger is a short-lived energy boost, pretty basic, right? But it doesn't really do much beyond the scope of just make you look bad. Of course, again, there are the exceptions. There are always exceptions, right? But it just comes to me as like when I hear people say, "Oh, this person made me upset." A while ago, I just read the rules of the internet with someone, and one of the rules is like if you talk or someone about a troll, they win. They automatically win because you've given them attention, which is giving someone power. There's a good and bad to it. People who come at you and they're throwing baseless stuff around, or they're throwing stuff that try to get you riled up, whatever. If you kindness, some form of kindness, some form of calm control, some form of emotional control, because it doesn't matter who they are, doesn't matter what they are, doesn't matter. The point of the matter is to get you emotionally checked. And once they hit that, they win. I'm sorry to tell you, they win because they now have a piece of control of you, because they know where the chink in the armor is. They know where they can say, "Oh, I know where to hit them at," and they hit you there, and you're like, "Ugh!" And then you realize, like, I just fell for it again, and you beat yourself up because you forget that the internet, while it is a not real place, it is a real place. Why is it a real place? Well, let's put it this way. Okay, so what is the most well-known social media platform right now? Used to be Facebook, right? Like Facebook used to be the big thing. Now it's Now it's Twitter X. But the thing of it is, right, there was this post made by William Shatner a while back. And he's talking, and I saw it, and it was like, it made sense from what you're saying, but no platform is a free speech platform. And his reasoning is that you have to do all this TOS stuff and all this and that. And after a while, I mean, again, Twitter X, people still get suspended for no apparent reason. And the customer support there is horrendous.
Oh yeah, it's bad.
Horrendous. But the thing of it is, right, is again, people forget Elon said freedom of speech but not of reach, and then his CEO came back and said lawful but not lawful, and they keep forgetting that his CEO was from WEF, and then they complain about WEF in other areas. So it's like you're kind of accepting one part of that whole that you don't want. And it's just we come to this point where we forget we're very critical, but pointing that out isn't going to do anything because we'll just accept it anyway to some degree. It's just how it is. But yeah, I just think I see people who, and this can go for Rumble too. I see platforms who call themselves freedom of speech as less restrictive speech, because what does freedom of speech mean in the total of it? When we think of freedom of speech, we think, well, total freedom to say what we want. But no, that then we come like, oh, you can't defame somebody, you can't libel somebody. So then it's not freedom of speech anymore. It's freedom of to a certain point of speech. And then you start dissecting it down and further down. Like you can't do calls of violence, which is fair, but that's more of like you could say something, but once you bring action to it, then it's a whole another ballpark. And of course, you can't really calls of violence to the president. You know how that goes, right? So then it becomes, it's no longer freedom of speech in a sense. It's like freedom of compartmentalized speech. You can say this, but you can't say that. But then again, no one has fully defined what freedom of speech is. So what is, hold on, I got to write that down. What? It's a question. I just came up with a new question. What is freedom of speech? Freedom of speech from freedom. Okay, I got to put the of part in there. Otherwise, it's going to be freedom speech. Freedom of speech from, I'm almost done, your perspective. This is a good one because I think everyone has a point on what it can mean from their perspective. Okay, adding it into the hat. Into the hat it goes. All right, but yeah, because we can define it on a legal sense, but then a legal sense is only one point of the total. So what is Paddy, the man from Ireland? What is not a leprechaun, but what? Not a leprechaun. But from your perspective, right, and what you know your perspective to be, obviously, when someone says freedom of speech to you, what does it mean to you? Obviously.
Okay. Why don't we do this and read verbatim the First Amendment? Because nothing exists in a vacuum and everything is contextualized. So the U.S. Constitution says, Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof or abridging the freedom of speech or of the press or of the right of the people peaceably to assemble and to petition the government for a redress of grievances. So, when people say, oh, I'm a free speech absolutist, it's kind of like what you were saying earlier, where it's like, well, you can't just say, I don't like Paddy's ball head. Someone should kick it like a soccer ball. You know what I mean? Right. That, it doesn't say anything in the Constitution where it says that you can just say whatever you want. It says shall make no law respecting the establishment of religion, right? So there can't be a religion established by the government. So you can't say everyone is Christian, everyone better show up to church, blah blah blah. And then we've got prohibiting the free exercise thereof or abridging the freedom of speech. So I would say that they can't make you say anything, and they can't stop you from saying what it is that you're gonna say, right? Case in point, when we look at peacefully and patriotically make your voices heard, they abridge that speech frequently when they say he told them to assemble and to go down there and fight like hell. It's like, no, because the entire context of the speech was to peacefully and patriotically make your voices heard, and then to fight like hell. Clearly, your speech does not. You have the right to say whatever you want, right? That is what that is. But you shall always have the right to bear the consequences of saying whatever it is that you had said.
Right, but that
So,
you don't need a First Amendment for that, because it's just stating.
That's the thing. You don't need any of the amendments, Dara. The rights that are endowed upon you by a creator that nobody can understand. Whether you believe in Jehovah or Yahweh, whether you believe in the flying spaghetti monster or Mother Gaia, or you believe in the cult of DEI. The right that was endowed to you upon conception were these rights. The amendments, they are not granted to you. They cannot be taken away from you, right? When the Bill of Rights was written, it was a contract between the people and the founding fathers to say that for as long as this country shall stand, the government shall recognize that we can't touch these rights. And the moment that we do, the people should be having a problem with that. So we can go back and forth about, like, can you say there's fire in a crowded theater? You absolutely can say that, because if there is a fire, you had better be able to. And if somebody dies because there was a fire, and in the course of evacuation, that wasn't your fault. Now, if you say that, it's the reckless endangerment that you get in trouble for. If you say, oh, there's a fire, and there's not, you get in trouble for the reckless endangerment. You get in trouble for the incitement, not the fact that you said that. Right? So it's different. It's like being able to own a gun. Owning a gun is not illegal. Shooting an innocent person without just cause is illegal. So it's, I don't know, it's the same thing to me as owning a gun. I have a thought, I think, and therefore I am, and I am armed.
No, I am arms.
I am armed. But you don't have amendments, right? The amendments are the agreement upon your conception that the government can't fuck with you in these defined ways. And when they do, you can redress these grievances. Well, that's yeah, you're right. That's a problem that you should be taking up with your friends and neighbors and making that redress of grievances. Because I'll tell you what, Idaho has its problems, but we are like a Second Amendment. What were they calling that back in
what?
California? What was it? It was like an immigration amnesty or an immigration
DACA? Like DACA or no?
No, there was like a specific word for it. We're like, oh, we're sanctuary. We're a sanctuary state. It's like,
sanctuary city. Yeah.
Yeah, we're a sanctuary city. It's like, I mean, you are for now.
Yeah.
You are for now. What's really gonna get weird is, and this is something that I do battle with.
Yeah.
Because notice that nowhere in the Constitution does it say that those amendments only pertain to citizens, right? I think, they're the right of the people. So, I mean, depending on how you want to look at that, the right of the people is what is said, right? So, I think the real argument is whether or not non-citizens are protected by the amendment. And part of me says yes, because that's kind of the whole deal of, like, all men. Not American citizens are created equal. All men. That's pretty broad, but it's pretty straightforward. It's a blanket statement that all men are created equal, and that we are endowed by the Creator to have these inalienable rights. So what I'm curious about, especially should the mean old Drumpf when how that's going to look if he does move forward with the mass deportation and working with local law enforcement to help facilitate that.
Mhm.
Because there is no current like timeline of events where should that start happening, it's going to look pretty, and people are going to have to decide whether or not they have the intestinal fortitude to accept that it's a necessary part of it or it's not. Because like getting back to these amendments, you know, do criminal aliens have the right to redress grievances? For what? What grievances do they have in a government that they're not part of, that they don't pay taxes to? And then their Second Amendment right, you know, because I would never tell anybody that they can't own a firearm, that they can't protect themselves. Criminal aliens, I don't care. Like you have the right to defend yourself, but there's like a really different footing there, because if a criminal alien decides to form a well-regulated militia, that sounds like an invasion, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, I think that's where our Bill of Rights is really going to be tested coming up here soon. And I think about it a lot, because I do think that all men, it's not a U.S. citizen thing, but I'm also not naive enough to believe that well, you know, I've been investing in this country since I've been a taxpayer. I got my first job when I was 14.
Right.
So I'm over here like I've been pretty generous all my life, and my generosity is running thin because my dollar's not going quite as far. So sorry to make it heavy all of a sudden.
No. That's the whole point. My issue still is with you did when I asked you about what does freedom of speech mean to you, you did it from the basis of a constitutional, you know, Bill of Rights amendment. From a full standpoint, you know, what does freedom of speech actually mean? Is it a legal matter or is it a human matter? Right? Because not all legal things are human and not all human things are legal, right? Because you said inalienable rights. So that means that the law has no control over that. But we still make laws to have control over that, right? So you have this sort of divide here, right? Where law and man are two very different things. Of course, you need laws in order for people to agree upon, like, not killing each other, everyone, right? Like the Wild West. Wild West was called the Wild West for a reason. You pretty much could just do just about anything unless you were caught and, you know, whatever. But at the end of the day, the question becomes, you know, because I did a larger solo stream where it was about what freedom is altogether, but we're just focusing on freedom of speech. What does that mean? From my point of view, because there's no discrepancies in the saying freedom of speech, then freedom of speech means free to speak. Now, again, not free of consequence. That's a side effect, you know, cause and effect, that sort of thing. But freedom of speech says freedom of speech. There is no freedom of up to this point of speech, freedom of to this section of a small compartmentalized whatever speech. No, it is a freedom of speech. 3 simple words, FOS, basically. Well, I mean, small o. But the point of the matter becomes is then, okay, then you have rules that whittle it down. You have rules that saying you can't defame or libel. Okay, so now it's no longer freedom of speech, it's freedom of saying certain things that don't really defame or libel someone. Okay, so we've added that. Freedom of speech, no longer freedom of speech. Now you can't call a violence upon someone, even though that requires you to do actual harm, right? Calling violence. I mean, you could inspire, but I don't have that kind of pull. I'm like a wimpy guy with 2 arms over here. It's not gonna happen.
You inspire me, Daramouthe.
I'm not Charles Manson, and I wouldn't want to either.
Oh,
but the
where's
point
my
of the, but the point, no, that was the Jonestown.
sorry.
But then that becomes, well, you can't. It's freedom of speech until it's freedom of no defamation, no libel, and no calls of violence. Okay, so we've just ruled out it being freedom of speech at all. It's now freedom of these certain things you can call out, and then there's more and more and more. So technically, it's no longer about freedom of speech. Sure, you could say just about anything you want, but the just part is the juxtaposition. How does that word go? Justification, or whatever that word is.
Juxtaposition.
Juxtaposition, yes.
It's a good one. I love it.
Word, it spills out of my mouth. But the word itself just states that until this point, until that point, and then freedom of speech becomes a bottom line of, well, then it's not freedom of speech. So while I get the legal standpoint, the wording standpoint throws it off because it's not that anymore. And so I'm not looking from legal point because, as you said, inalienable rights. So what is it? Is it freedom of speech under law, freedom of speech under natural law, or whatever that constitutes? At the end of the day, it becomes this mishmash of what you believe is freedom of speech, and then you write laws to, like the hate speech laws, right? Like there have been hate speech laws thrown out by some states. So then
There
again,
is no such thing as hate speech.
but it doesn't matter to the states who make those hate speech laws. So they've made those
Yep.
hate speech laws, and many people have agreed to it. And then when you have, oh well, then it's not freedom. It's until hate comes into it. But that's such an ambiguous, other than it being the word hate, there's such an ambiguous opening on that remark. And then then it keeps going further and further. Look, you're taking a stick and whittling it down to a toothpick at this point. And it's like, at least I can get the small stuff out. Again, what is freedom of speech? Is it a law factor? Is it a whatever factor? Because if it's inalienable rights, then the Constitution no longer matters. It's
Sure.
this, to the people of power. To the people of power, the Constitution is more of a, you guys have to follow it. We don't, because power.
Well, it's like what I was saying. It's like you cannot be compelled by any means to say what you don't want to say, or to not say what you want to say. That is what freedom of speech is. That you can't be compelled. Now you can exercise caution and you can exercise discretion, and you can self-censor. That is always part of your freedom of speech. But
Right.
you cannot be compelled. You cannot be made to swear an oath against your will. You cannot be made to bear witness, against something if you don't want to. That's like how that's what freedom of speech is. That what you say belongs to you. It doesn't belong to anyone else. And so like I said, your voice, no one can force you to say, unless they have like a really good AI program.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Well, then would it be best to say then that freedom of speech is to not be compelled to say or not to say? Because then at that point you've taken both sides of the coin, and you completely open the floor to say, then this is what freedom of speech is: to say or not to say. You cannot be compelled either or.
Well, freedom
Simple.
of speech definitely has a ring to it, and I
Yeah.
like that freedom ring.
Yeah, but I'm just saying in the total, when describing freedom of speech, then it can be described as you cannot be compelled to say or not to say. And then that leaves the door open for everything else, because then freedom of speech is, again, freedom of speech, but not freedom of consequence. That's a totally different subject. That's a moral basis. But freedom of speech, from the definition we are learning, getting to now, is that you cannot be compelled to say or not to say. But again, the U.S. still has laws of defamation, libel, calls to violence, all this other stuff. So that is a compelling to not say. But if we're just,
I wouldn't say that. Because no, I don't think that you are compelled not to say. So if I were to say, oh, Daramouthe wears a blue hat, and people are like, no, he doesn't wear a red hat. We can see that. You are not compelled to stop yourself, because I can make an observation if it's false, and that's what court is for, and for those hearings are, because I can say what I want. It has to, when my exercise of my inalienable rights all of a sudden becomes a inhibitor for your ability to exercise your inalienable rights. That's what our courts are for, right? So somebody will say, well, Paddy was saying that Daramouthe wears a blue hat, and then Daramouthe says, well, damn it, I lost Rumble rants because people like red more than they like blue. Well, then that's when you go to court, and the court says, well, Paddy was obviously being obtuse. You can like it or not like it. Too bad, so sad. Don't have him on your show. Or they could say, wow, Paddy was being really malicious there, and he was really trying to impede your life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness. And then through a court of our peers, that people, so we'd have Ultra and Phoenix and Geek on the jury, and they'd say, ever since that Paddy shaved his hair, he's gone bad, and he needs to go to jail.
He's gone rogue. He's gone rogue.
He's gone rogue, everybody. He owes Daramouthe those Rumble rants that he should have got.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would definitely say it's like, and then to relate it to another thing is think about the Second Amendment and your right to bear arms and how that's been continually infringed upon. That only started happening around Ronald Reagan. It was up until Reagan, people were able to own fully automatic weapons, if I recall correctly. So ever since then, it's become, we've started to see that right be more and more infringed. And it hasn't been until current year, a couple of years ago, that you started seeing states rescind the requirement for like shall issue, may issue, or request for issue, or Second Amendment sanctuary.
Right.
So legally, like you were saying, is it law or is it the human way? It looks like the humans are still very well aware of the freedoms that had been fought for. You've always had these freedoms, and if you didn't have these freedoms, we wouldn't have America, because some guy would have woke up one day and just said, man, this is all great, living as a serf, toiling in the mud, and not owning my own labor. That's wonderful. But somebody walked to the beach one day and said, you know what? There's got to be more to this.
Yeah.
I have a feeling I'm hearing the lapping of the water on the beach. I can feel the tall grass in my fingers and the sun upon my cheeks.
No, right? And I wanted to bring this up because, you are right. But that's the point I was trying to make earlier, is singular freedom of speech is to say or not to say, or to be not to be compelled to say or not to say, because that's the general point I'm trying to make is, are we by the rules we set for ourselves, or are we saying freedom of speech is freedom, not freedom of consequence, but rather free to say as is? And we aren't, because we make rules that kind of chunk away at this so-called freedom of speech. We're not making a David out of this, marble piece. We're making this sort of oblong, weird art shape you take to an art place. Like, it looks like a weird circular thing, and people like, I read my life story in that thing, and it's like, no.
It sounds like you just described that Martin Luther King statue that they made, where it's like the arms like hugging each other, and there's no heads.
And while great of what he did, same with Abraham, you shouldn't be building, statues to these idols because they were human. Why are you building worshiping points to these people? Because that's what they are. I mean, technically, so is our phone. Our phone is a worshiping point too.
You can't establish a governmental religion. People can practice their religion how they see fit. If I choose to one day stand the church of George and Abraham and Theodore Roosevelt and carve their faces into the side of the mountain, then damn it, I shall do it. And I'll go there
and blow yourself up with the dynamite.
Yeah, I'll make a pilgrimage there once a year so I can cry at the feet of that great mountain.
And then it crumbles.
No!
But anyway, it's a little past the top of the hour, so you know what to do. So go ahead and promote your side of things, and I'll do mine, and then we'll continue from there. Good sir.
Oh yeah. So again, I'm Paddy's Patio Cakes on Twitter. You can also find me here on Rumble at PaddysParlorGames. I paint miniatures like this big guy right here on stream.
Nice.
I paint guys, I draw dudes, I write tabletop games. You can also find this game over at Drive-Thru RPG for free, or pay what you want. And every
Nice.
once in a while, I do some really cool stuff. Like I do a painted miniature raffle. I'm planning on doing something for Extra Life closer towards the fall. Extra Life is a really cool organization. And I found a new one that's supposed to give games to like veterans, and I really want to do something for them too.
Yeah.
But yeah, otherwise you'll just find me on Twitter politically shitposting and fighting the culture war. I've been fighting this war for years.
I'll have my piece to say in that later. But yeah, but he's also on Rumble too, and of course his links are down in the description below because I'm nice like that. No, I'm just
Thank you.
I've spared you this time.
Please, Daramouthe, please give me more links.
Whoosh, whoosh, get back to the cages.
Your name is Paddy.
Your name is Paddy, not Paddy. No, I'm just no. But anyway, so this is a two-parter, of course. But anyway, guys, I stream to both YouTube and Rumble at Daramouthe, and I also have a Discord at Daramouthe, but that's mostly for DMing. I also have a Twitter fan account at Daramouthe, and I also have an email. Of course, all that stuff is in the link tree down below. The link tree will take you to those links. I know the thing is to try to get as less of a link click to the places, but at the end of the day, Linktree just kind of puts your stuff together, and I had a lot of links, and I was like, I can't do this. So I was trying to put it in one place. But anyway, guys, if you want to be a part of this, if you want to come on and have a conversation about whatever, because you just saw me and Paddy just jump all over the place like we're a bunch of, seagulls looking for that piece of food on the ground. But the thing of it is that I opened this to just about anyone. Look, I'm not here for debates. I'm not here for arguments. Disagreements are fine. I'm also not here for the stupid troll that just wants to not have a conversation but make trouble. Don't care about you guys. The point of the matter is, there are a lot of people in this world who, it seems like by watching the news, you can't see like we can't have a conversation, but we can. Obviously, you've seen all the people I've had on here. Paddy's been on here twice. The thing of it is, we can't have a conversation about whatever. Yeah, that's 4 times. You have to put up 2 for twice. Otherwise, you just
that was for the cross-eyed people, so it looks. 3D.
Oh yeah. Oh, that's not going to go over well. Don't write into the email. But anyway, guys, if you want to come on, right? Because July is coming. June is pretty much full. I'm still waiting on a few persons to get back, but July will be coming up. And of course, I'll be leaving that open to if you want to come on. Otherwise, I'll keep hitting people up because, again, I at this point, so I use Canva to make templates for the people who come on. At this point, I have a little over 50-ish people I've had on so far. So, and I'm looking to keep that going, right? I'm looking to keep going and going. Obviously, all I can do is ask, and if they say no, they say no. But at the end of the day, it's always all about making the connections, always about doing this stuff and getting people on, because again, we can have a conversation about whatever. It doesn't have to be about the 24/7 news, because again, some of these content creators, all they do is read an article from someone else. All they do is look at some, CNN thing, whatever, and then that's it. It's like, where's the creation? It's just giving your perspective on something someone else said. Of course, I've done that too, but the whole 24 news thing is just not my deal. But anyway, Linktree, the links are in there. If you want to come on, DM me at the Twitter or use my email or the Discord, and we can get started. Or if you don't want to do any of that, just leave a comment in YouTube or Rumble and let's get started, because at the end of the day, I'm willing to share this with just about anyone, as long as you're willing to be respectful, as long as you're willing to have a mic, and no big gamer words. And we should all know what those are by now. But anyway,
I just want to say thank you for having me on again. I really enjoy talking with you. It's
obviously I do too.
It's really easy to like pigeonhole yourself into like
yeah.
one. Like when people come to my channel, it's like we always talk about TTRPGs and stuff, and I get invited on shows to talk about TTRPGs and stuff. It's like I'm 3-dimensional. I got so many thoughts. But thank you. I really appreciate it, and I hope to come on again soon if you'll let me.
Yeah, you're always welcome. Again, it's also for me, doing this is also breaking me out of my own bias, right? Because we all have biases and all this stuff. And I'll get to the second part. But the thing of it is right, the more people I talk to, the more I can break out of that, because what are the things that that can affect human beings? Cognitive dissonance and confirmation bias. And if you know what confirmation bias is, you know that everyone is affected by it. Everyone. You see that with any content creator affected, any human being, your neighbors, whatever, connect. Part of it too. It does not matter what human you are, for better or worse, under those conditions, because again, you have fallacies, you have all these things that affect us. And those two things affect us hugely because again, we will look up information in order to support our whatever argument we're making, even if that is not connective in any way. The point of the matter is to having these helps me break out of my own bias. And also I hope I can share that with the other people that come on, because again, we can have conversations about whatever. It does not need to be about the topic of today or whatever stupid thing or whatever. We can talk about ancient Egypt and just whatever and have fun with it. Or we can discuss on matters that are very existential and philosophical. It does not have to be stuck to one thing. And I know people say, oh, what's the topic for today? Whatever. It's like the conversation is the topic. We'll just start with you and go from there. But I know some people just aren't used to that. They're very skittish or anxiety ridden. I've had some of those people, but once you come on, once you experience it, you will get it. And I've had a lot of people come back. So that's a great issue. And Ken, if you like it, if you enjoy it, you can come back. It's not that difficult. I am a somewhat easygoing person. It's just I'm not here for you to use the platform to just like, hey, look at me, I'm the greatest, and then you just kind of fall down the stairs. Like, it's like do that Peter, what is it, that Peter Griffin thing? Oh, and it's just like, yeah, you were pride cometh before the fall, and that's the more truer statement than most. Okay, so but the second part is engagement. Look, guys, I know you're a lot of YouTubers say share, like, and subscribe. It gets annoying after a while. The mantra, almost each and every one of them says it, because how is it going to spread themselves out? But the reason why I do this, the engagement factor, is simple. Look, if I want to have more different people on, different views, different perspectives, I kind of have to build my credibility factor. I have to build my name, right? It's not my actual name, but it is a name that I created, and I am glad, because it would have been, it shows my creativity. But the thing of it is, right, yes, the engagement factor is kind of an annoying thing, and it also is kind of like, it seems like a begging factor, but I really do enjoy having many different people on talking about whatever. A like, a comment, a follow, a share, it does not matter if it's one or all. What matters is your help in participating, your help in wanting to see the new person that comes on, because this week I'm going to have a few new people coming on, and
Nice.
they've never been on here before. And they'll always be able to come back if they want to. Some people don't, which is sad, but it's just how it works out. So anything you could do to help, whether it be on YouTube or Rumble, on both, it does not matter. A like, a follow, a comment, a share, anything, one of it or all of it, does not matter. Anything helps, because I'm looking to fill up the rest of the months for this year and see how it goes. It'll be difficult, but that's what building credibility and building my name will do, is help ease that, because I do believe that a conversation be had just about by anyone. And I think it's time we try to get back to that, because the whole thing with the news, the whole thing with other these content creators who are chasing the algorithm in order to get money or whatever, it kind of muddies the waters, and to not have a conversation just to talk about a specific whatever topic. I'm everywhere. We just all talk about freedom of speech, try and at least whittle down to what it means, and either do it to a legal standard or to the natural law standard. And I at least got an idea of what it can be, but who says I'm right? All right. Who says I'm right?
I say you're right.
Thank you, sir.
We'll have a vote. We'll have a vote. Eyes have it.
Eyes have it. Yeah, I have two eyes, so yeah, I do win.
Well, good night, Daramouthe. Good night, Dara friends.
Yeah.
We will see you all later.
And that's when he knew the show was over. He has two eyes? What the?
No, he has
He's
eyes
got a
at all.
spectrum.
He just like takes his sunglasses off, and they're just pits. Like, oh,
It's
what have
like
they done to my eyes, Justin?
It's like the movie where Framing Roger Rabbit, and they had like Christopher Lloyd characters take his glasses off, and it's the cartoony red eyes, and it's just like, yeah. It's like
And he talked just like this.
and it's like he was a cartoon character all along. everything makes sense. He wasn't real. He wasn't real. You had Jerry Seinfeld. He wasn't real. He wasn't real.
Stop laughing. You'll laugh yourself to death.
Oh yeah, that was funny. And then see the weasel's soul just come out of him. It's like, gotta keep going. But yeah, I really do want to share this with as many people. Same with the pay it forward streams. I do want to share that with as many people as possible because I think from my perspective, right, when they did the whole, Rumble Raid thing with Chris Pavlovsky and hey, UB Legend, nice for you to be here. Thank you, sir. When they did the whole Rumble Raid with Chris Pavlovsky and Fraud TV, at a certain point, in order to have more, you kind of had to show your face. You kind of had to do this, all that. I'm like, the pay it forward stream doesn't demand anything of you. Yeah, it'd be nice if you noticed that we were there. And sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. But at the end of the day, I'm always surprised at the after, once it's over, right? Once it's over, there's always this, it's doing great. We're doing great. We're just talking about stuff like you hear before last time. But yeah, I just feel like when you're doing something that's sort of like a giving factor and you demand something in return, that's not about giving anymore. It's about you do this thing, I get something in return. That's very transactional. And if that's what you want to do, that's fine. I don't have $10,000. If I did, I'd still do the pay it forward stream and just be able to give more. But I do think asking for something in return, like just to show your face, is very, what's the word? It's very uncoming of giving.
Capricious.
Capricious. I don't know what that word means.
Like a cat, when a cat gives you its belly to give you, so you can give it belly rubs, and then you start to scratch its belly, and then it attacks you.
I don't know. There's always a drama going on with some summer, so you have to be more specific. But I do think that and that's totally understandable. I think the part with and I've brought this up before with content creator payout. I think that's still a big issue, even though I don't know if people who say it are being true or not. I do think content creator payout needs to be fixed because at this point, the Canadian check, takes too long, and a majority of people don't like PayPal.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, I know they're looking at their options, which is great, and I know it's going to take some time because there's always the legal stuff and the financial stuff. So I know it's going to take time. It's probably not be this year, maybe next year, but at the end of the day, I think it needs to be taken care of because money earned through a platform should not be messed with an image. And of course, you probably hear stories like Twitch. Twitch people have their issues. Kick people have their issues. YouTube people have their issues. If I earn money through your platform and you take your cut, then I should be getting the money that I've earned through your platform. There should be, unless it's like you find out they've cheated in some way or they bought it in some way, the money should not be messed with. It should be, I set a date, right? I set a date, it comes out on that date, end of discussion. Or you said it, or there's a date where everyone can agree on. It comes out on that date, no further questions. Because you can't, when you're a creator, like if you do like the premium thing, the premium pro package thing, you cannot cash out. You cannot have a cash out button. You lose all that stuff in order to have a cash out button. So I don't want to lose that.
Well, if I may,
these platforms are not addressing issues when it needs to be fixed. They should patch it really. Yeah, but again, you have to realize that compared to YouTube, Rumble does not have a lot of people. It probably has a couple hundred people, I think.
Are you talking about on their dev team?
Just working for Rumble alone, right?
I don't know if that's the excuse that people are looking for. What I would say, I got two things about like the Rumble thing is one, you don't be susceptible to the kick psyop is what I usually call it. I think that there are kick psyop bros, and my only evidence of this was that they did find that there were paid detractors working for Disney that would go out and like smack talk certain accounts while uplifting, being paid to uplift Disney products and stuff. And I would not put it past Amazon Web Services or a company that makes its like entire bag off of like gamble streams or whatever. I do think that it's very possible that there are what I would call kick psyop bros, and that's just a base term for people that are here specifically to poison the well. You know, Rumble isn't working out the way that they want it to because they want to fast track to success instead of work for it.
Yeah,
and when they don't get what they want, they're willing to kick anyone while they're down and ride off the Rumble bad clout to increase their kicks subscribers. Meanwhile, they'll still stream to Rumble. So anybody who's like over and overtly critical of Rumble, I'm immediately like, yeah, you know, that's like calling every white guy in North Idaho a Nazi. That's okay. Whatever.
But you are bold, though. No,
I do think. Oh my god! Look, my widow's peak was looking more like a widow's archipelago, and so I just let it go.
I'm just saying they don't call them skinheads for nothing. I'm just saying
there's like hair there. Anyway, but yeah, I do think yes, you do need to fix the pay thing. But the other thing that, like, when I publish a book through DriveThruRPG, all of May, I did Military Appreciation Month May. Every penny that I made off my book sales went to Folds of Honor. Now, I haven't been able to make that donation yet because I have to wait 30 days for every purchase. So if somebody bought something on May 1st, I didn't get that money until June 1st. If someone bought something on May 29th, I'm not going to get that money till June 29th. And then they only pay out once you hit a certain threshold because every time a transaction. So when somebody bought the book, they got hit with a transaction fee, right? When they transferred the money into my account, there's a transaction fee. So having not been somebody who's been paid out by Rumble yet, I do have my issues with PayPal. But I'm not at a point where I can be making. I'm not at the point where I could be making
a lot.
No, what's demands, right?
Demands. Yeah.
But what did UB say? Some people.
Well, there's this first one I want to speak on, and this one is Fuse is the other one I saw. Yeah, and I can understand that. I have said it in the past, and I've kind of argued in the past, but I think people. First, when they have an issue with payout, they need to go through the proper step first because you want to be able to take the excuse out of Rumble's hands and say, did you go through support first? And they said, no, you can do that. So you do that first and you kind of keep your paper trail, right? Because that's how you do it. Then at that point, if you're not getting anything or it should know, my thing is that in order to get a response back to you, because I don't know how many people are working their financial, whatever, it should not take more than a week. It should not take more than a week for them, at least a week, at least up to a week. Because sometimes I've heard 3 months or whatever that it's taking so long to get the payout. At least a week is reasonable for the long end. Maximum, maybe like minimum should be 3 days. Just so the base stuff. Like 3 is a magic number, right? I think we can agree on 3. So I have said stuff on it too. It's just, you know, it's just I'm a small voice. I got no power here, all right, on any platform.
What I would say is. Like I said, you know, the way financials work, and it's easy to scam a system. Like it's really easy to have my brother tip me $100, right? And then that would qualify you for the payout, right? And then I'm like, I want my money, pay me, and then you know, a week later, because it's within that credit card window of being able to like find fraud or claim a mispurchase, right? 30 days is typically, you know, that's the reason why it takes you so long to close on a house. We're not employees of Rumble. We're doing business at, you know, at their behest is what we're doing business on. And of course I would love to get paid sooner rather than later. But Rumble is already giving us a lot of good grace in terms of Rumble ads. And it would be way too easy to scam the system for somebody to say, I'm gonna have all these people tip $100 here and $100 there. And then the creator goes, I've reached my payout threshold by 4 times. Where's my money? And then Rumble's like, man, you did really good. Here's your money. And then some guy calls on his credit card like, oh shit, my child decided to Rumble rant $400 to this lady or whatever. I need my money back. And
I need my money.
Yeah, they're gonna go to Paddy, and Paddy, you know, they're gonna say, hey Paddy, we gave you $400. I guess there was a mix-up. Some kid got a hold of the guy's phone and just started singing the ABCs in chat and donating money. We need that $400 back. Paddy's going to be like, oh,
F
yeah, of
you,
course.
F you.
But bad Bald Paddy's going to be like, my money. That's my Rumble bucks.
Yeah. And then he said after, yeah, but some people need to learn to critique constructively. Okay. Some people only say positivity. I don't say I don't say just positive stuff. I've said if Rumble does well, I will praise. When Rumble does poorly, I will admonish. And I've always said that, well, not always, but I've said it more often than that because, again, yes, he's correct. It needs constructive criticism. And you will see people say Rumble UI sucks. Okay, what about Rumble UI sucks? And they won't give a descriptive term of it. It'll be I've seen there were some that did, but more than that, the people who say Rumble UI sucks will not give definitive terms. And again, these are tech people, right? So you need to give them at least enough description in order for them to go on. Otherwise, they're like a goose who's flying blind. They're just gonna fly all over the place. It's kind of like a weird. You see a goose flying blind in the sky. It's like, why is it going in circles?
I think that was in a movie. It was in Top Gun, right?
No.
Oh yeah. Oh hi. And then it says, I don't know why if there's something that needs to change, more creators need to speak up. I think he said speak up. You know what? I do think that a platform has an issue of running into favoritism. And that can happen with Rumble as well, because of course you have the people who are contracted by Rumble, which is, that. Then you have people like, you could say maybe Lumpy is looked on favorably. Not saying he is. I'm just saying there's a possible, you could always run that possibility of the favoritism stuff. And of course, I do for Rumble Studios, right? I kept running the issues and I kept giving them stuff. But I've always been like, when it works, it's great. When it doesn't, it feels like you're getting slapped across the face. At the end of the day, Rumble still needs to be reminded that it is a platform of the people it keeps talking about for freedom of speech. And we've already gone on that. If it can't hold up, it's in the bargain for the platform stuff. And of course, they're still continuing growing. They're still continuing all this stuff. And all that jazz. That's great. But at the end of the day, again, I will praise Rumble when it does well, and I will admonish Rumble when it does poorly. And poorly, of course, can be perspective, right? Like what it does poorly for you is not going to be the same for me. But I do think that there is a response that, again, like the creator payout or how it's handled in like there should be a Rumble support. It shouldn't just be Rick Rack going around giving the updates. There should be like a Rumble support, thing on Twitter X where people can put, and they can sift through the spam ones or they can sift through the right ones. It just depends. But at the end of the day, Rumble has a lot of stuff it still has to do. I don't know how many people are working for total for Rumble, but it's going to be a lot less than what YouTube has. It's going to be a lot less than what Twitch has. And I think people need to be reminded that, and I get it, Mr. Dollface, UB legend. And then he says, for the fused one, right? He says, no, I mean, out of the bigger creators, he's the only one that said something. I remember stating something in the past when I was on Lumpy's roundtable about the payer create out, and I know they talked about it then. So, and that was the first roundtable that I mentioned about the creator payout. And of course, he says Lumpy doesn't say anything, and he's the face of gaming. He needs to speak constructively. He too positive. Yeah. Again, I've been on the roundhouse. I had him on not too long ago. We talked about some of this stuff, and he wasn't, he understood some of those things. That Rumble's he's had first perspective of Rumble. What's happening now?
I couldn't tell if it was a cat scratching at my door or like someone trying to tell me that the bacon is ready. I think I'm a little late for dinner, but
but yeah, it's just, again, constructive criticism, praise when it does well, admonish when it does poorly, because again, Rumble is still getting there. People, again, a lot of the YouTube creators, right? That, some of their followers that asked to come over, they're like, the UI sucks. There's not enough money. There's not enough reach and all this stuff. I'm just like, you do realize when you go to a new platform, it's like the first day of school and you've got to treat it like such. So
I'd say it's even beyond that. I mean, you have to like, and I appreciate you be saying like we need to keep it real, and you can't just you can't just verbally fillet Rumble. You don't want to do that, but at the same time, you have to
Right.
understand that that there are a lot of kick psyop bros who I wouldn't have even heard of if it weren't for Rumble. These are people who have some sort of vendetta. They have some sort of oaks jammed so far up their rectum that they can't see that they're in the forest. They've
right.
got the whole damn forest up there, and that's the reason why they're so tight. And it's funny because for a lot of those people I just blocked. So I was like, I don't need to deal with you. But there was one guy, I think it was like 6 months ago, and he was on Twitter. Was like, where's my money? And I'm like, okay, well, I don't work for Rumble, but maybe I can help, or we can talk through this. And he's like, Rumble promised $100 for every video, and I'm like, Rumble never said that. So I went into the past, and back when Rumble was fledgling and trying to get creators, it was you can earn up to $100 per
Yep, I remember that. Yep.
per viral video.
Yep,
And
yep.
so this guy is going to live the rest of his life because I watched some of his content, and it's all him on his phone like this,
Yeah.
playing like PUBG, barely talking, not
Yep.
being viral. Not, I don't really know the guy. I'm sure he's a nice guy who just misread something. But
Yeah.
you're gonna go into Twitter and you're gonna be, a Karen basically about, well, you owe me money, and then a lot of people will take that part and then they'll look at payout issues. It's like, look, I get it. You don't like PayPal. I get that. But I'm pretty sure it says if you choose the check, it's going to take longer. You are not compelled to take the PayPal. You are not compelled to take the check.
Yeah.
You have the option for both. Back to like being compelled versus not being compelled.
Yeah. We're coming full circle, guys.
Said I should be hired because I resolved issues for people. That's really good. But it's not necessarily the first day of school. We're really talking about building a new virtual country, a new virtual America, because I'm sure there's probably some things that I maybe should or shouldn't have said, because I realize that you are on YouTube and you're streaming there, and I hope that I was a good boy for most part.
You're fine. I tell people this is for the no big gamer words, but at the end of the day, all I asked was for 2%, and I'll give you 98% of the field. So curse away, I don't care. 98% of the field is yours. Just no big gamer words. That's all I ask.
Did you say big gamer?
Big gamer words. The big gamer words.
Oh, like radioactive words?
Like the words you shouldn't be saying regardless.
Oh,
I mean,
okay. So anyway, that's regardless. But what I am saying is, and it kind of goes back to you. It's like, being one of the first waves of independent creators on Rumble, right? The guys like Lumpy and Yubi and Fuse, this new wave of independent creators that are really pushing hard to build Rumble.
Yeah.
To go on to here and to see everything growing and the everyday struggle and fight for Rumble to just even be able to be searched on Google, right? It's not an easy task.
Right.
And then to just expect the world to be given to you because I made the leap. No, dude, you're on Plymouth Rock, and Plymouth Rock is going to fall on top of you if you're not willing to put the work in.
Yeah.
Put that work in. I get it. It's subpar, but I mean, if you checked it tomorrow versus this time last year, you'd be like, what is this wonderful magical place? There's so many features. There's so many cool things. Yeah, it's I tell you what, man, building something is not for weak people. J.R.R. Tolkien said, evil can only destroy, right?
It cannot create, yes.
To create, I mean, it takes big, massive cojones, like gigantic spine
and time
to move to a place that is uncomfortable and to struggle to get it. And I get it. Like if someone says, hey, you put in the work, you earn this money, we've taken our cut, you're going to get yours, you deserve that. Absolutely 100%. But to go in there and just assume for them to bend over backwards, and like I said, a lot of these people, they just have really shallow perspectives as to what is fair and what is not fair. And if somebody comes in and is just like, I want my check tomorrow, no, dude, you're not what is that called? You're not an employee. You're not on a W-2 for Rumble, right? And their terms of service are specific, and I believe that they say, if something were to happen over the course of a payout, then it is what it is. That's your risk for being here. Now, what Rumble promises to be the free speech platform is that they're not going to ban you for something you say. Rumble does not promise that if Paddy comes into Daramouthe's chat and says, I think you need bigger headphones, Rumble's not going to say, hey, if you want to be an ankle biter, then we're going to stop everyone from being able to ban you. Because that's the other thing I see. I shouldn't be banned from somebody else's chat. No. Rumble is the information highway for which your taxes pay to drive on. You don't get to drive onto my driveway and start doing donuts, kick my dog, and then flip off my kids.
Yeah.
Negative. That's what Rumble promises. Now, Rumble is trying to put a little honey on the cookie to get people to come over. Yeah. And for that, I wish them nothing but success. Yeah. Like even when I do the ad reads on Rumble Studio, I will do the ones that benefit Rumble before I do any of the other ones, even if the payout is less, because it makes me feel good that they appreciate my time and my audience to pay me to help pump myself up while pumping up Rumble. So you can get really tushy tussled over a bunch of things that don't really matter in the end, or you can keep working hard and understand that Rumble's trying hard to work right there with you. Yeah, and that's not saying that you can't criticize them.
And that's right. It's not saying, but you don't go like hard F you all the time. It's sort of like, can we look into this, that? Because so one of the things was like, again, a lot of YouTubers I followed would come on here and then they leave because they weren't getting the reach or they weren't getting the money, wasn't up to grade. But it's like, okay, so why are you making content? First off, if you're making content for the money part, then you're not making content for the sake of it. You're just making, because of course some of these people go full time for content creation. Like, that's not a good sign to leave that up into their hands. You should be doing more than. But for me, it's like, so let's take the two factors that were most talked about by the YouTubers that would come over and use it, right? One was reach. So what are they doing on for the reach part? Well, they're the recommendation engine, right? They're working on it, they're upgrading it and all this stuff. So that means over time, the recommendation engine come to be the personalization engine is going to get better and better over time. The reach beforehand where reach wasn't there, now reach is going to get up there because the system is going to be playing on all fields of the likes, the views, and all this stuff. So there you go. So that's what we got. Now the monetization factor. Well, obviously you have to bring the views. Sorry to tell you, the views are not going to be there for you. You have to bring the views. Second part, well, now that they've added the ad reads in Rumble Studios, guess what? If you have enough of the views, and I don't now, so I can't say anything, but if you have enough of the views, say you have 20,000, 50,000, or 100,000 watching, you can go into that ad read, right? Like say the one Rumble one that says to go for the app, right? You can go in there and you can read to those 100,000 people and get the money 2 per of how many people are watching, and that can be a great bonus. Again, people will complain, I'm not getting the money or whatever. It's like, first you have to bring the views. If you don't bring the views, then it's not their fault. But again, that's also where it reaches into the finding factor, whatever. And they're getting there. Slowly but surely they're getting there. And I think by the end of this year, we're going to see something quite different. Of course, I've put out the short with Sashinan, where he says, in a year's time, Rumble's not going to look the same it was then as it is now. And you can go back to when Rumble started and look to now, and you could see the huge change that this has. And I think people tend to forget is that YouTube, right? The king of the platforms right now, because of Google too. YouTube started in 2005. and was bought by Google, say 2006, 2007. So from that point on to 2013, that's about 7 to 8 years. Imagine that. A platform has 78 years and another platform's trying to start. So you have this huge swath of time where they're trial, error, all this other stuff. Then they have Google resources, right? Which is nigh infinite. So let's not go there. Then they have from 2013 to say, what was it, 2021, where they got the influx of cash from going public. They have about 6 to 7 years. So you're adding that all together. YouTube has had almost 20 years of work and trial and error to do. Rumble has had what, 3 to 4 years, and it's doing.
And don't forget that Google also had a lot of backing from public dollars.
Yes,
You know, there was a lot of subsidies that went into too big to fail companies. Rumble's not getting that. Rumble is not getting any help whatsoever. As a matter of fact, if anything, they're getting dogged down. So, like,
yeah, there's stock
yeah.
stuff. Yeah,
Again, I would say it's like you should always be critical. You should never just accept everything at face value. But I'm telling you, there are a lot of people that need to be a whole lot more scrutinized, because they're not looking to build something. They're only looking to take the foundation that guys like Fused and Pudge and you and Lumpy and Phoenix are trying to build. I mean, really, that's what I see more so than Rumble's failures. I see a lot of gutter snipes that are trying to get theirs that haven't quite earned it, and they're mad.
Yeah, I like to be on the same level as Lumpy too. Thank you. I don't feel like I'm up there yet, but certainly if I can be on the same level, seen on the same level, I think that'll help me out a lot. So, but yeah, that's the thing of trying to do this as well, as building the name factor, the credibility factor. Because again, it's just people can turn you away when they don't know who you are. Yeah, we were building the future entertainment, and whatever that entertainment is. But for me, on speaking the previous matter, was that people can turn me away easily because, oh, I don't know that person, is small, whatever, because it's all about the numbers, right? It's all, oh, how many followers do they have, blah, 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 and stuff. I'm like, you do realize I've had people on here who have had little to no followers. And the point of the matter is to have a conversation with them. Now, obviously, if there's some jerk or whatever and they don't want to have a conversation, then I won't invite them on. Simple as. But if they do want to have a conversation, if they're willing to take a chance on me and come on here, guess what? The door is open for it to happen again. And then there are people behind them where that can happen more, and so on and so forth. It's a very it's like a smaller wheel feeds into the big wheel sort of thing. But, you know, it's still going to be difficult just to try to get people on because, you know, again, they can turn me away easily. That's why I say to build the credibility factor, because I only have what is now, and it seems to be working, but you know, I can only do so much. I can only climb so high the ladder.
I do appreciate it, and I know this is peak Paddy moment, the longest Irish goodbye. I think there might be a record for it.
he's over there. It's like, where can I get more hours into this? What? No,
I know. I don't get to speak to Dara every day, and that makes me angry.
Well, there's been another thing I'm trying to is like at least once a month I'll try to at least catch up and say hello to people, because I do speak to the person, they come on here, and then most likely I never talk to them again until another time, which is kind of a bad thing on my end. But I can't talk to everyone every day because I'm trying to get new people on. So it's like once a month I'll reach out, I'll say hello, how, you know, do a quick catch up and then go from there. Because again, my ultimate thing is trying to fill out the rest of the year, and maybe one day try to see if I can get close to having 1 million different people on this, because there's so many different people, so many different perspectives. Some can be similar, some can be dissimilar, and to open the doorway to this thing, which isn't I'm coming at you, you're wrong, all that stuff. It's just like, hey, what do you think about this? Or what do you think about that? Because again, like you said before, there are a lot of pigeonholes. Like I've said before, there are a lot of spheres. People under spheres of movies, spheres of entertainment, spheres of politics, whatever. I want to take a hammer to it and break them all open and say, look, the field is wide. Come join. That probably should write that down for tagline. But the thing of it is, right, is I don't want to be stuck to a topic for like the rest of it. I don't want to be stuck to just entertainment. I don't want to be stuck to just whether we're talking about politics, whatever. I want the field to be so open that even if I don't understand it fully, I could say, well, the similarity of this or that, whatever, and we can have a conversation about it. It's not about knowing everything. It's about, can you BS yourself through a conversation enough that you can still have a conversation? Yeah, there's that. So I'm trying real hard, guys. I'm trying real hard. But don't tell anyone that. It's just between us, chat. It's just between us. Don't need it more than that.
Open secret. Yeah, I think, what was it last time we talked about health and arming, and now this time we've talked about
freedom of speech
talked
and more.
about-
Well, no, part of it
Oh,
was
yeah.
you did talk about your military stuff, but it was talking about the air freshener, where the air freshener would be
Yeah,
allergic
that's
to
what
you.
it was.
And
Alrighty.
then, yeah. Then it was, I remember, because I put out some of those shorts of, and I'll have to go redo that whole thing because again I didn't. The thing with Opus Clips is that it only lasts for 30 days, and I had a bunch of different other streams, so I'm gonna have to try to work one stream at a time. And I have so many streams and so much content to put out. It's like I'll never get through this. So Station is probably the only person I've gone through that stuff, and I no longer have to worry about it because I've already picked that stream clean. Now it's on to other ones where I'm like, okay, we got to do this. I got to get all I can on this.
Alrighty, we did almost make it to 2 hours, and I really gotta go.
Oh, you gotta go. Okay, no, sorry, I apologize. No,
No
but
worries.
anyway, but before we go, let's quickly do our thing, and then of course questions from a hat. So go ahead and do your spiel, sir.
Oh yeah, I think we did this. The deja vu. Yeah,
Yeah, we
find me
did, but I
at-
do it again before we leave.
Yeah,
So
find me at Patio Cakes over on Twitter/X. Find me at PaddysParlorGames here on Rumble. I make books, I paint miniatures, and I draw a lot of stuff.
nice. Look at him, and he's so super quick. He was so smooth. I didn't see him get into third base. Now that's how smooth he was.
I keep my baseball uniform covered in butter.
Hey, butter! Here's butter. Anyway. Anyway, I stream to both YouTube and Rumble at Daramouthe. I also have a Discord at Daramouthe. I also have a fan account at Daramouthe on Twitter X. I also have an email. Look, guys, everything is in the link. I was like, I had to think about it first. Anyway, everything is in the link tree below. If you want to come on, go to those 3 places I mentioned, or leave a comment on either YouTube or Rumble. Look, guys, it's not that difficult. It's not that hard. If you want to be a part of this, if you want to, I have a fun time conversing, the door is open. All you got to do is take that way through. And I'll still be hitting people up for next month and whatever. So don't you worry. I'll still be going out there. But again, I'm building up my name so I don't have to do it too much because I want people to want to come on rather than just ask them to come on. But anyway, just go to the link tree down below or leave a comment on either YouTube or Rumble and we get started. And the second part is engagement. Look, guys, I know you've heard YouTubers say it time and time again, share, like, and subscribe. I know, annoying, right? But at the end of the day, I know if I'm going to have more people, have to get more people on, I have to be seen more. And to be seen more, engagement has to help. So like, comment, share, follow, one of it, all of it, it doesn't matter. Anything helps because the more people I get seen by, the more chances I have of bringing those people on. Look, majority of people that have been in the chat have already been on the show. This is Pat's second time, or Paddy's second time, sorry. Pat, I don't want to sound like an Irishman here, but this is Pat's second time. And the thing of it is, he's always welcome to come back. He's always welcome to come back because there's always more to talk about, and you've already just seen us go through that. So anyway, yes. So the next part is questions from a hat. Now, of course, the rules are as simple as this. If he knows it's past his bedtime, yeah, Paddy has to go in bed soon. He has to give that beard a luscious, full clean.
No, I think it's you. You're the one that's getting slap happy.
Hey, I have
bedtime, young man.
I get it. Well, I do have a full-time job, but still, I like to laugh. What's wrong with that? It's I watch Mary Poppins. It's fun. It's fun to laugh. Loud, long, and I can't remember the song.
You got me too. I don't know.
Yeah, I can't remember. But anyway, so this is questions from a hat. All right, I have the hat right here. It's a Rumble hat. I would tip it over, but all the questions was found, so you know that. So, what's gonna happen is each guest that comes on gets 2 questions. Now, if it's multiple people, they'll just get the same question pulled up. So the guest gets 2 questions. If chat wants to have another question pulled out, Rumble rant, right? I have nothing. I don't really have anything for like members or whatever. I really don't know what else I could offer to have members because there's not really a way to privatize the stream or whatever. So there's that. But anyway, if you want another question out of the hat, you got to pay for it. Just that simple. That's the thought I had in trying to do this. So even a dollar it won't work. So anyway, I'm gonna pull. Whoops, that. Well, we'll just stick with that one. That one popped out on its own. Oh, okay. This one popped out on its own by accident. So let's read it.
It was rigged. The game was rigged the entire time.
Oh, here's one. Is a hot dog or a taco a sandwich?
No, a hot dog is definitely a sandwich. A taco is not.
Now, why? Why do you say that?
2 slices of bread, some condiments, and some meat in the middle. You don't even need the condiments. You can have a wish sandwich for all I care. But it's really just the fact that you have a starchy bread on either side of a middle versus or tortilla. Because at that point, a taco is more of a ethnic wrap.
Ethnic rap? How does that go?
I was
Right.
what is
Second.
it? My buddy goes, oh damn it. He goes, if you ever want to sing Middle Eastern, you just gotta go oh yeah. That's what it was.
Oh, goodness. All right, second one. I have pulled this from that. Look at that little ball. All right, let's open it up, see what it says. What word makes you laugh every time you say it? It's okay. You could say pass. It's all right.
Yeah, I don't know. It's not the word, it's the string of words.
Oh, is it string? Well, go ahead and say the string words.
You know what kind of joke I really like?
What?
Steak jokes. It's a rare medium, well done.
Dad joke. Yep, that was definitely dad joke. Congrats on that one.
All right, I gotta go. I gotta try to eat some steak.
Okay, all right. Well, thank you guys for coming. Oh, that's right. I got the person tomorrow. The person tomorrow, we'll do that and then we'll play out. Tomorrow's 18th. Tomorrow's the 18th at 7 p.m. Eastern. I will have on a lady, Miss Christy, who works for the Flip City magazine, or is in line with Flip City magazine. Her online name is Kitty Flip something. So anyway, guys, 7 p.m. Eastern. That's tomorrow. Thank you, Paddy, for so much. You're always welcome back. And please,
Thank
dear
you,
Lord,
Dara.
put something in your gullet because you sound like you're about to fall over. But anyway, guys, see you all tomorrow. And as you know, I gotta get there first. As you know, we always play out with One Day With You by Pogo. Have a great night, guys. And don't forget to mute yourself, good sir. See you later, guys. Bye.